Hello, welcome to Friday Nights with Emma. Hope everybody's okay. What happened to the weather? It was like last week, it was like so hot. Now I'm freezing. I've actually got my scarf on. It's so cold. Anyway, let everybody have a couple of minutes, or a minute or two, for everybody to join. Just give us a thumbs up or a heart. Mikey's doing camera again, so say hi to Mikey. And we're going to do a couple of things tonight. First, I can show you. I finished my string blocks from last week. The consensus is...
Anushka, Joan.
Oh, hi, Anushka.
Philomena, Diana.
Hi, Joan.
Barbara.
Hi, Diana. Hi, Barbara.
Sharon.
Hi, Sharon.
Jane.
Oh, hi, Jane.
Belinda.
Hi, Belinda. Hi.
Jackie.
Hi, Jackie. Oh, hi, Jackie.
Debbie.
Hi, Debbie.
Diane.
Hi, Diane. Yeah, so the consensus is when you do your string quilt,
Terry.
your blocks. Oh, hi, Terry.
And Lori.
You lay them together with the
Christine.
stripes going the same way. Oh, hi, Christine.
Kathleen.
Hi, Kathleen.
Carol from a very wet Bristol.
Oh, hi, Carol. Yeah. It's threatening. It's not wet here, but yeah, stay dry.
Leslie
Hi,
and
Leslie.
Judy.
Hi, Judy.
And Judith.
Hi, Judith.
And Leslie.
Hi, Leslie.
And Carol.
Hi, Carol. Okay. So yeah, so the consensus is when you put your string blocks together, the stripes need to go the same way when you sew it around the edges and then cut across.
Jeanette
and then you get your...
and Ross.
Hi, Jeanette. Hi, Ross. You get your corners like that. So I'll have to continue some more as soon as I find some more calico. Oh, hi, Shirley. Yeah, Shirley.
Barbara.
Hi, Barbara. So I'm going to put that aside for now because we've got a couple of things to do this week. So the first one is the economy block I was going to show you, which is, it's quite a quick one, but I like this block because it's a good way of using motif fabric or charm squares. So I've got this Catitude fabric.
Terry is watching from a cold, wet and windy South Shields.
Oh, hi Terry. Ooh, up north. Yeah, I don't know. It's been threatening all day, but yeah. Stay warm, everybody, and dry.
Caroline, Christine.
Oh, hi Caroline. Hi Christine.
Sarah.
Hi Sarah.
Sandy, sorry.
Hi Sandy. Oh, hi Sandy.
Susan.
Hi Susan.
Lori loves the cats.
Oh,
Got cats.
Yeah, so I'm going to have to see if I can get more, because unfortunately this is literally the last
Debbie,
bit.
Annette and Brenda are watching.
I sold my last fat quarter this week of this, and this was what was left. But I was asked, how would you use it? So I thought I would show this, because this is a nice way of using fabric. And you will have a little bit of waste, so you'll see I've cut them out. These are 4-inch squares.
Annette says it's cold and very wet in Cornwall.
Oh.
There goes our summer.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it's supposed to dry up again next week. We'll see. We'll see. Fingers crossed. Hopefully not. Yeah, so there's a little bit of waste. Because you've got some that maybe you can do smaller squares from, because you can do all sorts of different sizes.
Your mum and Hillary.
Oh, hello, Mum. Hi, Hillary. So, getting back to the task at hand. This is a nice way of using a motif fabric. So I've got 4-inch squares. Now I will later on post, there's a formula so you can work out your blocks for any size that you want. But I've got a 4-inch square. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add, it's like a square in a square, I'm going to add triangles all around. And then this bigger triangles to make it back into a square block again.
Joanne and Maureen are watching.
Oh, hi Joanne, hi Maureen.
Debbie loves the colours and patterns.
Oh, yeah, that worked out nice. They just match. I think I might put some black sash in when it's done, but I'll show you. So, let me put these aside because I've already cut these. What you need to do is, if you want to do the same size I'm doing, it's a 4-inch square for your centre, and then 2 4-inch squares of the next colour that you want to do.
Karen is watching.
Oh, hi Karen. So, let me just cut this in half.
Jeanette says she's had the heating on the past 2 days here in Stanley. That's not allowed in July.
No, I've been told I'm not allowed to have that. He already warned me and said, you're not putting the heating on in July.
And Joanne says...
But I had thought of it.
And Joanne says, is this new fabric?
I've had this for quite a while actually. This is Catitude. And there's a panel that went with it and all sorts of really lovely coordinating fabrics. But it was so popular, I think this wasn't from last year, it was from the year before, this colourway. And it was so popular they reprinted it again. So I will have to see if I can get more of this range. But I do have some of the panels left still and some other coordinating fabrics that go with it. And they have that lovely gold foil on them.
Dawn, Hannelore, and Anne, and
Dawn.
Diane are watching.
Hi Dawn, hi Diane. Oh, who was the other?
Anne.
Anne. Oh, hi Anne. Yeah, so just cutting them straight on the diagonal.
And this is putting me to shame. Diamond has just said her husband put on the heating today. Unheard of.
Ooh.
You can't do it. Not in July.
Yeah, I've been doing that.
There has to be snow on the ground. Tina is watching.
Oh, hi Tina. Right.
Lori asks, what is the name of the purple and teal?
The purple is actually called Wine. It's a Painter's Palette Solid in wine, which I do have. This one is a Mako Alinea, which I don't stock at the moment, but I have asked. I stock some, but I don't stock this colour. But it's a Mako Alinea. I don't know the colour until I get the catalogues, but I will be putting an order in for some more.
Diamond says you can put the heating on in Edinburgh. Fair enough.
Okay. Right. Which one should I use? Michael, you choose. Which one
And
do
Karen
you like?
says she nearly lit the fire the other evening, but resisted. It's July. Stay strong, Karen.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So nice. That. Okay, Michael.
Tina is watching. Sorry?
Which cat do you want me to do? That one? Okay. Right, so I'm going to do my little trick because we need to centre them.
Allison's watching.
So you can measure it and mark it, but the easiest thing to do is to match up your corners right here and do a little finger press in the middle to mark out your middle, and do the same with your triangle. Just like that. And then you just marry those up right there. I got a pin. Oh, I do actually have a pin. I don't know where my chicken went. There we go. And it's just 1/4 inch seam allowance.
It crossed the road.
Haha. Oh, talking of 1/4 inch seam allowance, when you're cutting your figures out, make sure you've got at least 1/4 inch around your motif. It will be pretty close, but don't cut too close to your motif because you don't want to lose it in the seam allowance.
Allison also says they've had the heating on this evening, so it looks like we're in the minority.
Oh, okay, see? Thank you. Thank you,
And then
everybody.
Debbie says, remember that she lit the fire in August where we had torrential rain. It was about 10 degrees.
Yeah. I have done that before, actually, in August, when we've had really bad weather in August.
And Terry asks, are the wool ironing mats any good?
Oh, yes! Yes, I love them. See, I was one of those people that was sceptical because I had to demonstrate it on the sewing quarter the first time. I'm just going to do this one quickly before I press them out. I'm like, oh, okay, another gadget. We'll give it a go. But actually, it really does make a difference because it really makes your blocks a lot flatter. I'll show you when I do the pressing.
Becky is watching.
Oh, hi, Becky.
And Tina says, in shorts and vest top in Nottingham. It's so humid.
Oh, well, that's not far from here, but
No,
we definitely don't have the warm humid. It was warm and humid yesterday, definitely, but not today.
And Joanne says, no heating needed in Kent.
Ah.
And Helen is watching.
Kent. I like Kent.
Becky is watching and she says she loves her wool mat.
Oh, have I? Oh, yes. I know they are a little bit spendy, but I love it because it does make a difference, and I love how handy it is to have next to the sewing machine.
Joanne asked, does the wool mat have an aroma?
It does. It has a special woolly aroma, but it's not unpleasant. I find it quite comforting, but I like sheep. It smells a little bit of sheep, but in a nice way.
Karen is watching.
The only thing I'll say about the wool mat is that if you've got a cat, you might lose it to the cat because they like to sit on them.
And Barbara says she's in a dressing gown and a blanket. Tellington.
Oh, yeah. I had my blanket on earlier. Yeah, it is. It feels like one of those nights you just want to wrap up and...
It's 2020 in a nutshell.
Yeah. Okay, now it will extend a little bit over the edges. Don't worry about that. You can trim it off at this point if you want to. Actually, I might do that before. So
Susan says, no heating here, just put a cardigan on.
Yeah, that is what I tell Michael sometimes, actually. Put a jumper on, put some clothes on.
And no, I don't have any sheep jokes. Judith is watching.
Oh, hi, Judith. Come on. There we go. So that one matches up there. That's my pen.
And Kathleen says she finds she ends up with marks from the iron on the wool mat.
Oh, I haven't noticed that. Is it marks? Is it heat marks because it's the iron's too hot, or or shiny? I have to admit, I did have to clean my iron last week because it did make some brown hard water residue on my fabric. I wasn't happy, so I did have to clean it out with some dilute vinegar to get rid of all that. So there's that bit. Trim that off there. Although I will trim again anyway. So when you're folding, I'm just folding from the seam to get my middle.
Alison says she has one of Alistair McDonald's wool mats. They are brilliant for pressing and getting fabulous crisp seams.
Yeah.
They also fold up for storage, which she needs.
Mm-hmm.
Kathleen's come back and said iron on medium heat, but tends to burn onto bottom of iron.
Oh. I haven't noticed that, to be honest. I have to keep an eye out for that, but yeah, I haven't noticed. It's been alright. Yeah, it's good and clean. I know I am careful about not pressing any Bondaware bore. I did use what is that? Best Press on it, and that doesn't seem to make much difference to the as far as harming the mat. It does make a difference because it adds a little bit of body to the fabric.
And Anne asks, what are we making tonight? And we, I mean, as the royal we.
I am making, well, I'm going to do two things. I want to start off with this because I promised last week that I would show you how to make an economy block. It's also known as a square in a square because it's a nice way of using up motif fabric or charm squares. You can do it with charm squares as well.
And Laurie's wished me a happy 4th of July, yes?
Oh, yeah. Is that today?
It's tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow. Okay, good.
And Amanda is watching. Yep.
Oh, hi, Amanda.
Pub's open 6 a.m.
Oh, yeah.
But I won't be going.
No. Right. So that's what it's going to look like. Now, I'm going to trim him down because I just want, or you can leave it like that, but it is good to trim down. I want to trim it down so I've got 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way around between the edge and my square. So, use my actually use this corner because it will make more sense. Come on. It's all lined up. So what I'm doing, right here, I'll cut the other two. I'm going to, I'm matching up my corner, 1/4 inch here, 1/4 inch there. It's not quite square though, is it? So, to hedge my bets, I'm just going to do one side at a time, making sure it's square.
Paula also wishes us both a happy 4th.
Oh, thank you.
And Diamond asks, what do you think about the new craze for, and I'll probably mispronounce this, Oliso irons? Oliso?
Oh!
Have you tried one?
Yes, I have. The only thing I couldn't get used to is because it pops up and down on its own, which I think I just need to get used to it. But they are nice irons, and they are heavy as well, so it adds a little bit of weight, so you don't have to press so hard because it use the weight of the iron itself. Yeah, they had one, although we didn't use it very much. It was in the green room. They had one at the sewing quarter in the green room, so I used to use it when I was prepping, and it is nice. If you can get one, if you can get one on sale or cheaper, because they are expensive, then yeah, I would recommend them.
Lorraine and Paula are watching. And Lori says she loves her Oliso.
Yeah. I heard, well, I belong to some of the Facebook groups of ladies who make clothes, jersey clothes, especially in America. And there was one lady, if anybody knows Joann's Fabrics, got one on sale from Joann's Fabrics. It was a demo model, and I think they got it for less than $20.
Becky says she loved the iron in the green room.
Oh, yes.
And Jane says she also has one that's very good. And Annette says she loves her iron. Good for quilting. Had hers for a while.
Yeah, so I think the consensus is they are nice. They are definitely nice. And they have that, like I said, they have that thing that you can pop up, so you can just leave them. You can just leave them face down like this. And when you let go of it, it pops up on its own like this. So it's not on the pressing mat. And then you just press it down and it pops up again on its own.
Debbie also loves those, but waiting for the price to come down. But Lori says she got hers on sale at Create and Craft.
Yeah, if you can get them on sale, definitely, because they're over £100 or more.
How much?
Over £100.
I would break it.
Well, it wouldn't be for your use. I mean, we need to establish that. Okay, so that is all squared off. Oh, I don't have my little baby ruler, but you can see I've got 1/4 inch seam allowance between my corner here and my edge. That's what you're aiming for, basically. And now I'm just going to repeat, get this out of the way, that same process on all 4 corners. I like doing, these make good baby quilts, quick baby quilts as well. So if you've got a motif fabric, child's fabric, like a Paddington or whatever, you can just cut out little squares and then add your colours around the edge.
Lori said she got originally £150 for £100 at Create and Craft. And Diana said her son has just put you on our TV. I'm amazed.
Oh, oh yay. Actually, we've got a funny story about that. So my mum who's watching, my mum, who is going to be 70 next year, is very tech savvy. She teaches us how to do things. So we inherited her smart TV because we didn't have a smart TV. She bought a newer, bigger one, and we inherited her old smart TV. And she was trying to tell Michael how to probably work the smart TV and how to pair it with your phone and your iPad and your computer and things. And Michael said, she lost me at paired. Like, how do you pair it with your phone? It's like, they're not even the same thing.
Belinda says, what size are your green squares, please?
Oh, yes, sorry, I didn't mention that. I forgot, sorry. They are 5 inches square. Now again, I will write the formula down. I will write it down and I will post it. So you can work out the size of all of your squares that you need depending on the size of the block that you want. This block is going to end up at 7.5 inches finished.
Shirley is watching.
Oh, hi Shirley.
And Lori says, you're 55 inches in my house. Which is a nice size for a telly.
See, I keep telling him we can't have a big telly. Our room's not that big. He just wants a big telly because he wants to play his video games on it because he can't see the telly we've got.
I'm getting old.
Or at least that's what he blames it on.
No, I'm just getting old.
There we go.
Helen is watching.
Oh, hi, Helen. Oh, oh. Pressed it over. Corner. There we go. So let me just trim my corners again.
Karen says, you're only 10 inches in my house watching on tablet.
Yeah. That's what we mostly do. We watch it on our tablets, any YouTubes or anything.
No, I do have a gizmo that'll take the tablet to the telly. See, I have that.
Oh, you know that much.
I know that much. But you need the gizmo, I think.
That's a technical term?
The gizmo, yes.
Gizmo. Pin that. There we go, 2 more seams, and then this one will be done.
Dawn says, yes, she needs a gizmo too. Debbie has just raised Karen. I'll see your 10 inches and raise you by 0.4 of an inch. Karen says, I've lost her now. She'll stick to sewing. And Diane says, there's a formula to work out the biggest telly you should have for your size room.
Oh.
Can't remember it though. Try Google.
Oh.
You're on her laptop, so only small, at least.
Yeah. Well, our telly's not that old, so we really don't need a new one.
Anushka asks, do you know a pair of good, comfortable, curved scissors to help me cut out circles and curly shapes?
Oh. I tend to use rotary cutters, actually, and smaller ones as well. Once you get the hang of it, it really helps. Or if you've got a template, or if you're actually cutting around a plate, is really good. If you've got a cutting mat and a rotary cutter, smaller diameter rotary cutters are better for cutting around curves because it just goes around easier. But that's what I would recommend. Otherwise, I don't tend to use curved scissors, to be honest with you. They always tend to be straight. Anyway, so that's that. So then you can trim it down to whatever size you want. Obviously, you see I've got bigger than 1/4 inch seam allowance around the edge. So you can leave that, which is quite nice, and just have it as big as you want. Or you can trim it down to the actual size that you need. But that's how to do an economy square. And I will post the formula for how to work out your sizes later on tonight. If not, tomorrow morning at the latest, I promise. So I'll do that.
Jeanette says back to Telly's 32 inches is big enough. And Debbie says micro serrated edge scissors are great.
Oh, okay. Those would be really nice and sharp. Thank you. Thanks for that tip. So that's that. So I'm going to put all of that aside because now I'm going to show you the...
And Joanne says she thinks they look sweet as though looking through a window.
Oh, yeah, it's true. I had some really nice bird fabric as well. I might do some of these on. But you can get some really nice motif fabric to really make the little motif pop.
Allison says, thank you for doing this demo. The weekend is now sorted.
Okay. Well, I've got one more to do. And that is the strips that I did last week. So.
And Anushka says, love the colors and it's very relaxing to watch.
Thank you. So move this out of the way. I don't think I actually need my iron on.
Jeanette loves the square.
Thank you, thank you.
And Amanda is watching. She says hello.
Oh, hi Amanda. Right, so remember my strips from last week? Let me move my light out of the way a little bit. And my chair. Oh.
Devin says, brilliant. I normally hate triangles, but you have made it look really doable.
I like that because there's other than the fussy cutting of the cats out of the fabric or your motif, there really is no waste on that. A little bit of trimming here and there, but...
And Paula says the colors are lovely and the cat is cute.
Oh, thank you. So, as promised, I promised I would wait till you guys were with me to chop this up. So this is all my jelly roll that I sewed together last week.
Christine is watching.
Oh, hi Christine. What I'm going to do is I'm going to chop these lengthways. So I've got it. Oh, let me start over again.
And Carol says, love the economy block. Yet another new idea to try.
Oh, thank you. Good.
And Lori asks if you could let her know if you get more cats in those two colors.
I will. Yes. I'll call them on Monday to see if they got some more of that catitude fabric. And they have it in a black background as well. They have it in white and black. So what I'm doing, this is my jelly roll that I've sewn together. I'm taking the edge where I've sewn them all evenly, because if you remember the edge at the other side, because it's all different fabrics, it's all uneven because of the different lengths of the fabric strips.
Joanne says, mind your scarf when you cut.
Oh,
that's good.
Thanks.
Good
point.
Yep.
Yeah. There we go. Tuck it in. Thank you. Because that would happen.
And Alison says, I see you have a glass rather than a Capri carton for your drink.
Yes. Did you see that video? There was a funny video of a lady syringing rum into a Capri Sun.
No, I haven't seen that.
I think that is going to be me one day. Right, so I'm folding it together. I'm just folding it like you would fabric, basically.
Sil and Pat are watching.
Oh, hi Sil. Hi Pat. So I just want to make sure it's all even.
Joanne says, don't ask how she knows. And Lorraine says, I hope you realize how much you've helped her get through this lockdown.
Oh, good. I'm glad. It's helping me as well. These Friday nights, I tell you, they help me. Because I got something to think about, got something to plan, and I love it hearing from everybody. So it's definitely a two-way street.
And
Trust me.
Diane says, see, you got more grape juice. I'm having Ribena blackcurrant. Laugh out loud.
I am roughing it again this week. I do have some grape juice. We bought some from Lidl, but I haven't put it in the fridge yet, so I'm still roughing it with the old gin and tonic. But I made it a little bit strong. I had to add an extra tonic to it. I'm just fussing because I want to make sure that my strips are perfectly even
Eileen says she's had that cat fabric for over a year. Can't bring herself to cut it up.
Into
It's so gorgeous.
It is. I have fabrics that are like that. You just save it for that special thing. It is nice. Right. So it's all evened up. I'm going to move this over a little bit.
And Joanne also says, you've been a massive help and wonderful. Feels like an evening with good friends.
Oh, yay.
Can't thank both of us enough.
Aw. Thank you, thank you. So I'm going to cut this up into 3 lengths, basically. A wide length, a skinnier length. So I'm going to do 30 inches, 6 inches, and then probably about 8 inches if I've got it on the end. What I would do, if you've done this, measure your smallest or narrowest strip and work out what you've got to play with and how big your chunks want to be, basically. So I'm cutting this off. I'm using my ruler's been through the wars this week, so it's got Gorilla taped. So I'm using the lines on my mat for cutting this time around.
Sue is watching.
Oh, hi Sue. So I'm just going to cut this end off, all the selvage edges. Make sure that's through my, there we go.
Carol agrees. The virtual get-together is a fantastic start to the weekend.
Yay!
And Karen says, you make me laugh roughing it with gin. And Eileen has just found the page, and it's lovely.
Oh, yay, thank you.
And Jeanette says it's lovely to have us in her house every week. Annette says, I just drink straight tonic and the gin. I can't so love the economy block. And Phil is watching.
Oh, hi Phil. Right, that's what I've got left. This is going to be my first, this is my first chunk. 30 inches rather, cut. So I'm putting that aside. And then I've got, this is left. And from this I want to cut 6 inches. So I might actually just turn this around because my ruler is 6 inches. Make sure that it's all even. Because I want to get as much out of it as possible. There we go. So. Like that. Just going to make sure that is perfectly square. To neaten up any edges on that bit. There we go. That's my 6-inch one. And then from this, basically, I'm just going to line it up on one of my lines. So I'm lining it up on the 15-inch line. And I'm just going to, I'll cut that selvage off. That's as wide as I can go, which is about 22.5. So that gives me about 7.5 inches, not quite getting to the 8 that I wanted, but that'll do. Those are all my edges. So, got those 3 cut. I'm going to put them aside for now because I'm going to add some grey kind of sashing and borders. So I'm going to add, that's going to be my main, those stripes are going to be my main centre bit, and I'm going to have some wide borders on either side. So it's going to be for a single size bed. So on the long sides I'm going to have a wide border, top and bottom I'm going to do narrower, and then I'm going to do narrow border or sashing, pardon me, in between those 3 chunks as well, if that makes sense. So I've got 2 meters of this grey. It's the Dashwood Studio Twist pewter. And the way that I have folded it is, instead of folding it selvage to selvage, as you would normally cut strips across, I have folded it along the length. So I've matched up my selvage edges along here, and I'm going to cut my strips so they are the full 2 meters long, basically. So I'm cutting it along the length rather than the width, because I don't want any seams in my borders, basically. So I'm going to do 2 8-inch borders on either side. So I need 2 8-inch strips. That's at 33. Move this up a little bit so I can see a bit better. Move this over. There we go. And if you've got the mat big enough, it does help. I've only folded this over so I've got 4 layers of fabric. Sometimes when you cut the length of fabric, if you fold it up too much, you've got a lot of fabric to go through, and it can be a bit of a struggle. 1, to cut through it, and 2, to keep it straight. So that's 6. That's going to be 8 inches right there. 25. There. So that's my first side border cut. This is going to be my second side border cut. There we go. And then I'm going to cut, I think I'm going to do three-inch widths. Let me see. I want to get as much as I can because I want to make it as wide as I can, because it's going to be maybe 3.5. Yeah, I'm going to do 3.5 inches to allow. It's going to be 3 inches finished, and I'm going to have 1/2 inch for my seam allowances. So 2 strips, 3.5 inches. Come on. And then 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Sabina is watching.
Oh, hi Sabina.
Jackie says her cat etude quilt in black looks fabulous.
Oh, nice.
Especially as you long-armed it for her.
Oh, yes. I did do that. Yeah, that did come out really nice.
Diamond says she'd rather fancy a gin this evening, but her husband has drunk it all.
Ah.
Julie and Sarah are watching.
Oh, hi Julie. Hi Sarah. Well, that's not good. He has to replace that for you then. There we go. So now I'm going to do, I think I decided 5 inches.
Lorraine has to ask what happened to the ruler.
I have a thing about breaking my rulers. This is the second one I've broken, and it just, yeah, I'm just have bad luck with my rulers. At least these ones, they just, yeah, nothing bad. It didn't get thrown anywhere or anything like that.
To be fair, they usually get stepped on.
Yeah, because I do a lot of cutting on the floor. That's the thing. Usually I do a lot of cutting on the floor, especially when I cut out clothes. Just make sure that's going to be 5 inches before I cut. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. So I will have to get another one, but this one works for if you don't need to measure. And then there, 5.5. So I've got all of this left over for binding. And these are all the borders that I need. Is that right? Wait. Yeah. 1, 2. Yep. 1, 2. Yep.
Diamond asks where the boys are at, Monty and Link.
2,
They're
3, 4.
they're sleeping.
Yeah, they're both in the window. They're being unusually good.
They'll make up for it at 3 o'clock.
Yeah. I think it's because it's cold. I think they're just snuggling down. Right, so these are all my borders. That's my fabric that I've got left. There should be plenty there for, in fact I know there will be, for binding. I do 3-inch binding, so that's 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I'll have to see. There should be enough there for binding. So these are going to be my borders top and bottom. These are going to be in between. That's going to be on the sides. So what I'm going to do, I don't know if I'll have time to sew much. But we shall see. So this strip is going to go along here. Like that. This is my narrow strip. Narrow strip goes opposite, so I'm going to alternate the colours. So that goes that way, and then that strip, and then one more strip of, yeah, this is 3.5 inches, like that.
Jackie said she put her ruler through the AccuQuilt and mistaken the pad.
Oh no! Did it survive?
And Sue says, I didn't realize it was broken. Thought it was some sort of special measuring marker aid for yourself.
No, it's brilliant. It's just Gorilla Tape. Oh, I've got a little bit. Oh no!
Nan is watching, and Sue's watching on a phone screen.
So I might have to cut a little bit more of this because I've got some selvage edges stuck in here, which I don't know if that will be.
Leslie says it looks amazing.
Oh, thanks. It may have to stay that way. It may just have to be a design choice. So that's what it's going to look like. And then the cool up here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, oh, the chartreuse. Like that.
Colors are very 80s.
Yeah, I guess so. So, oh, what I'll have to do is start sewing this and then put pictures up over the week. What I'll do is pin.
Even though you're not a pinner.
I'm not a pinner, but when it comes to borders and
I think you are a pinner.
no, not really.
Diamond says it's beautiful.
Thank you. So I will show progress, but that is how you cut it up, basically. So that's the cutting instructions. And then next week I'll have, well, I should have the finished top. So that'll be an update of...
Joan says it could be an alternate style temperature quilt.
Oh, yeah. That's a good idea. You could do it. Yeah.
Allison, Carol, Lori, and Sunday say it's all lovely.
Oh, thank you.
And Jackie said her ruler smashed into 1,000 pieces.
Oh, no.
Jeanette says you won't even notice the selvage edge.
Yeah, I think it's going to have to, it's going to have to stay in. It's going to have to be a design choice. Because some of this bit will definitely be in the seam allowance, so I may have to trim a little bit.
Dawn says it looks fabulous, and Diane says I love the colours. It's lovely.
Thank you, yeah. Well, I've already decided when I quilt it, it's going to have the raindrops on it. So I've already got that in mind. But yeah, so...
Anushka asks, I'm sure others are wondering too, how many quilts do you have in your house? And how many do you think you have made altogether in the past?
Jackie asked me that before. I really don't remember because I've given a lot away or I've made a lot for other people. So sometimes people will just buy me the fabric. That's the deal I usually make, is you buy me the fabric and all the materials, and if I've got time I'll make it for you. I've done a few of those. But yeah, we've got, well, me and you have each got one. Plus,
Kaylee's got several.
yeah, Kaylee and Alice have got several. Mum's got some. The only person in my family who hasn't got one yet is Simon.
Plus we have some throw ones.
Yeah, we have them down for snuggling under.
Annette says the colors make a very cheerful ending.
Oh,
Have a nice weekend. Paula says the colors really stand out. And Judy says perhaps do a wider seam. It looks fab.
oh, that is true. I could just do that instead of having to trim it. Good idea. That would be time saving. Thanks for that tip. I will do that. That's a good plan. Thanks.
And then Katie says it's beautiful, but I'd have to have it facing all the same way with the gray. It would bother me not being regimented.
Well,
fair enough.
We'll have a look because when I show the final one, you'll see how a difference it makes. But yeah, you can do it the other way. I mean, I'm just doing it this way. So yeah, you put it actually that way so you can see as well. It just adds a little design element to flip it upside down. But there's nothing to stop you from, and actually I think if you put it that way, it would be nice to have white in between and then a grey around the border or a different colour around the border. But yeah.
Lynn is watching. Christine says it's beautiful, and Jeanette says she loves the quilt on the wall.
Oh, thank you. That one was all foundation paper pieced, so you can imagine how much I loved doing that one. But it was it was one of my whips for a long, long time, and then I finally finished it.
Kitty says that's better.
Okay.
And Carol also loves the quilt on the wall.
Oh, thank you.
Plus we have that huge one hanging in the landing.
Oh yeah, the pink one, which I'm going to change. I've got to put Alice back up there. My Alice quilt.
And Christina loves the quilt over the chair, which is Monty's morning breakfast nook.
Yeah, every morning or until about lunchtime, that's where Monty sleeps, in that chair. At some point that chair will get recovered as Matilda fabric, but it hasn't happened yet.
Debbie says I've ordered the book with your compass quilt in it. I couldn't resist.
Yes, that's a good one. Is it Judy? I want to say. I can't remember her last name. Judy. I don't know.
And Joanne says your time and expertise, both quilty and technical, are so appreciated. Hope you keep going with these for a while yet.
Oh, yeah, we will. We will. Michael's all ripped in, so yeah. You guys got to send me ideas of things you definitely want to see, for sure. Because I now got to think about what I want to do next week. So yeah, send me your suggestions in what different techniques you want to see. We can get that sorted.
Eileen also likes the quilt on the wall.
Oh, thank you.
Well, maybe next week you bring some of the ones that aren't on display and just show them.
Oh yeah. We can do a little virtual quilt show.
Yeah. Jeanette, I'm doing an EPP temperature quilt.
Oh.
And Dorothy is watching.
Yep. Nice.
And Lori says, we hope we have a lovely firework weekend. We usually don't stay up long enough.
Yeah, well, we tend to do fireworks. We tend to have our fireworks in November now.
Yeah, the 5th. Jackie also likes the pictures. Actually, that one was done by Kaylee, wasn't it?
Yeah, Kaylee drew that one for me. That's one of Kaylee's pictures.
And the other one.
And you can't really see him very well, the cat. That was one she did at school, in primary school. Yeah. Anyway, I let everybody get off. And, there's another question?
Yeah, Joan has a question. How to join binding? I know you have done it before, but again.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep, and she also agrees, Joanne also agrees about bringing the other quilts down.
Oh, okay. We'll do that next week then. What I'll do, because I'll get this finished during the week and I'll post pictures on the Facebook and on Instagram of the progress. And then next week when I get ready for the binding, I'll cut the binding and I'll show you how to join those together. Yeah, but one of the first ones I did, I showed how to sew it all on and how to finish it at the end, because that's the trickier part, is sewing it together once you've sewn it all the way around your quilt to finish off that little gap. There's different ways of doing it, that's just the way I do it. I know Alistair Alistair does it a different way, which is actually an easier way than the way I do it, or a different way.
What about the quilt method where the one where you incorporate pictures? like what you did with the TARDIS, that one.
Oh, the Alice quilt, applique.
Yeah, that's
Oh yeah. Well, I haven't done an applique.
Oh, Carolyn also. Carolyn asks, "Can you please show how to put piping around a cushion?"
Oh yeah. Yeah, actually, I've got to do some of that for a chair cover this week. So, yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, thank you. Thanks for joining us. Hopefully that's been interesting. Yeah, please do send all your suggestions. Message me or just post them, as a comment or whatever. And yeah, we'll have
Joanne says her mum Maureen will be pleased.
yeah, we'll do a virtual quilt show next week of at least the ones we've got in the house. So I can show you those.
As opposed to the ones also in the garage.
And at Mum's and at Kate's.
Yes. Oh well.
Okay. Anyway, have a good weekend, everybody. Bye.
Night all.